The journey through space was unlike anything Megan could have imagined. The vessel moved through the darkness between stars using technology she could barely comprehend. Through their mental bond, Lyra shared knowledge, helping Megan understand the basics of how they traveled. "We do not move through space in the way your scientists imagine," Lyra explained as they sat in the central chamber of the ship. "We fold reality, creating a path that connects 2 points directly." Megan watched in wonder as stars streaked past through the transparent sections of the hull. Her mind struggled to process everything she was experiencing. The resonance bond between them made learning easier, allowing her to absorb concepts that would normally take years to understand. "How long until we reach your world?" Megan asked. "3 of your Earth days." Lyra replied, "Our engines must recharge between each reality fold. The journey would take decades without this technology." Megan spent those 3 days learning everything she could about Sirian biology and their plant life. Lyra showed her simulations of their dying world. The radiation from their unstable sun was breaking down the atmospheric protection layer. Plants that once flourished were withering. Their oceans, once teeming with life, were growing toxic. "Your research on extreme environment adaptations is remarkably compatible with our needs," Lyra said as they reviewed Megan's work from Earth. "Particularly your studies on radiation resistance in desert plants. Never imagined my work would be used to save an alien planet." Megan smiled, still adjusting to the idea that she was traveling through space with an alien being. Though the initial shock had worn off, the reality of her situation still seemed dreamlike. At times, the bond between them grew stronger with each passing hour. Megan found she could sense Lyra's emotions even when they weren't actively communicating. She felt the Sirians' hope, but also her fear. The weight of responsibility Lyra carried for her entire species. On the 3rd day, the ship slowed as they approached a star that burned blue-white in the darkness. Orbiting it was a planet that looked both familiar and alien. Its surface was covered with vast oceans of deep purple land masses, dotted the surface like emerald islands. "Sirius and Vala," Lyra said with pride and sadness mingled in her voice. "My star and my world," as they drew closer. Megan could see the damage. The atmosphere glowed with unnatural patterns where radiation had thinned the protective layers. Large sections of the green land masses had turned brown and gray, dead zones where nothing could grow. "This is worse than your simulations showed," Megan said, feeling Lyra's grief through their bond. "The deterioration accelerates. With each passing cycle," Lyra confirmed, "our scientists have tried everything within our knowledge. But our evolutionary path focused on technology and mental development. We lost much of our connection to the biological world centuries ago." The ship descended through the atmosphere, approaching one of the larger islands. On its surface, Megan could see crystalline structures that caught and reflected the blue light of Sirius. These were the cities she had seen in Lyra's memories as they landed. On a platform extending from one of the crystal towers, Megan felt nervousness flutter in her stomach. What would the other Sirians think of her? Would they accept her help? Lyra sensed her anxiety. Through their bond, Megan felt reassurance. "You are here as our honored guest, the first human to visit our world. The council awaits us." The vessel opened and Megan took her first breath of alien air. It was sweeter than Earth air, with hints of spice and something like cinnamon. The gravity felt slightly lighter, making each step feel bouncy and effortless. A group of Sirians stood waiting on the landing platform, their copper skin gleaming in the blue sunlight. Like Lyra, they were tall and graceful, with intricate patterns covering their hairless heads. Their black eyes watched Megan with intense curiosity. Lyra stepped forward and made a gesture with her hands. The lead Sirian, a female with more elaborate patterns than the others, responded with a similar movement. "This is Elder Vela," Lyra explained. In Megan's mind, "She leads our council." Elder Vela approached Megan, studying her with those bottomless black eyes. After a moment, she spoke, her voice appearing directly in Megan's thoughts like Lyra's. "We welcome you, Megan Foster of Earth. We have waited many cycles for one such as you." Megan bowed her head, slightly unsure of the proper protocol. "Thank you for welcoming me. I hope I can help your world. The resonance is strong, Elder Vela noted with approval. Lyra has chosen well. You will rest, and then we will show you our research facilities, our botanical preserves, our genetic laboratories. All we have will be at your disposal. The next few days were a whirlwind of discovery. Megan was given quarters in a crystal tower with views of the purple ocean. The room adjusted to her comfort needs, creating furnishings that resembled Earth designs but with Syrian aesthetics. Each day she worked with Syrian scientists in vast laboratories. Unlike human labs, which were filled with equipment and computers, Syrian science was conducted through direct mental interface with living technology. Surfaces responded to thought, plants grew in controlled environments that could be adjusted with mere intention. The challenge became clear as Megan studied their dying ecosystem. The radiation from the unstable star had altered the fundamental biology of Syrian plant life. The photosynthesis process that once thrived under the blue light now faltered under the increased radiation. Protective cellular mechanisms had broken down. But Earth plants had evolved under different conditions. Some desert and high-altitude species had developed remarkable radiation resistance. Their cellular repair mechanisms were more robust than anything on Vala. If we could combine the adaptive traits of Earth plants with the native species here, Megan explained to the council on her 5th day, we might create hybrids that can withstand the increased radiation, and if successful, they could help rebuild your atmosphere. Elder Vela nodded. The council has approved full resources for this project. We have prepared genetic samples from our seed bank specimens from before the degradation began. The work was challenging but exhilarating. Megan had never had access to such advanced technology with Lyra's help. She learned to use the mental interfaces to manipulate genetic structures at a level impossible. With Earth technology, through their bond, Megan could sense Lyra's growing admiration. The Syrian woman stayed by her side, day and night helping translate complex concepts. You understand more quickly than we expected, Lyra commented as they worked late into the night on their 10th day. The resonance between us enhances your learning capacity. Megan smiled, feeling a warmth that went beyond professional respect. The connection between them had grown into something deeper. A friendship certainly, but perhaps something more. A bond that transcended their different species. After weeks of work, they achieved their first breakthrough, a hybrid plant with characteristics of both earth cactus and a native Valan succulent. The new species showed remarkable resistance to the radiation levels currently battering the planet. This could work, Megan said excitedly as they ran tests on the hybrid. The cellular repair mechanisms are functioning perfectly. And look, the photosynthesis efficiency is higher than either parent species. Lyra shared her excitement. The council will want to see this immediately. If we can scale production, we could begin atmospheric restoration within months. That night, as they celebrated their success, Megan stood on the balcony of her quarters, looking out at the twin moons that hung in the purple-tinged sky. The beauty of this alien world had captured her heart. Despite the danger it faced, she had come to love Vala almost as much as Earth. Lyra joined her on the balcony. You miss your home, she said. Sensing Megan's thoughts, sometimes Megan admitted. But this work, this place. She turned to look at the Syrian woman whose presence had become so familiar, so necessary. I don't regret my decision. Lyra moved closer, the patterns on her skin glowing softly in the moonlight. The resonance between us has grown beyond what was prophesied. I did not expect this level of compatibility. Megan felt it too. The connection between them had deepened into something neither of them fully understood. It was more than friendship, more than scientific partnership. Something neither human nor Syrian, but something. Their moment was interrupted by an urgent mental call from Elder Vela. Lyra, Megan. Please come to the council chamber immediately. They hurried through the crystal corridors of the tower, sensing the urgency in the elder's call. When they arrived, the entire council was gathered around a holographic display of the Sirius star. We have detected increased instability in the stellar core. Elder Vela explained, her mental voice tight with concern. The degradation is accelerating. Our scientists, Estimate we have less than half a cycle before catastrophic failure. Megan looked at the display, horror growing within her. Half a cycle, 6 Earth months. The hybrid plants would need at least that long to grow and begin affecting the atmosphere. We need to accelerate our work, Megan said. We need more labs, more resources. We need to. Elder Vela raised her hand. The council has been discussing alternatives. The hybrid project will continue, but we must prepare for the possibility of evacuation. Lyra questioned. Where our biology is incompatible with most worlds within reach. Elder Vela looked directly at Megan. Earth. The implications hit Megan like a physical blow. They wanted to evacuate to Earth, a planet that knew nothing about alien life, a planet that would likely react with fear and hostility. The night sky above the small town of Pine Creek glowed with countless stars as Megan Foster sat on her porch swing. Her long brown hair swayed gently in the breeze as she gazed upward. She had always felt drawn to the stars ever since she was a child. Something about their distant light called to her in ways she could never explain to anyone else. Tonight the stars seemed different, brighter, more alive, almost as if they were watching her. Megan worked as a botanist at the local research center studying plant adaptations to extreme environments. Her colleagues often teased her about her fascination with space, saying a plant scientist should keep her eyes on the ground, not the sky. But Megan knew there was more to the universe than what grew in soil. A brilliant flash of light streaked across the darkness, not like a meteor, but something controlled, purposeful. Megan stood up, her heart racing as the light changed direction and grew larger. It was heading toward the abandoned field just beyond the edge of town. Without thinking, Megan grabbed her jacket and keys. Her logical mind told her to stay home to call someone about the strange light, but something stronger pulled her toward it, a feeling she could not ignore. Drive to the field took less than 10 minutes. The night was quiet except for the occasional hoot of an owl. Megan parked her truck at the edge of the dirt road and continued on foot. The tall grass brushed against her jeans as she made her way toward a soft blue glow that pulsed in the distance. As she crested a small hill, Megan stopped, frozen in place. In the center of the field rested a vessel unlike anything human hands had ever created. Its surface shimmered with colors that seemed to shift and change like oil on water. It was shaped like a teardrop, perfectly smooth, with no visible seams or joints. A section of the vessel suddenly became transparent. Megan gasped as a figure emerged, tall and graceful, with skin that gleamed like polished copper in the moonlight. The being was clearly female, with features both alien and beautiful. Her eyes were large, almond-shaped, and completely black, like pools of ink. Her head was hairless, covered instead with intricate patterns that seemed to pulse with light. The alien woman moved toward Megan with fluid grace that made her seem almost weightless. Each step precise and controlled, her clothing, if it could be called, that appeared to be made of the same shifting material as her, vessel flowing around her form like liquid metal. Megan should have been terrified, should have run. Instead, she stood her ground. Something about this visitor felt right. Familiar, almost as if Megan had been waiting for this moment her entire life. The alien stopped a few feet away and raised her 6-fingered hand in what appeared to be a greeting. Her lips did not move, but Megan heard a voice inside her head, clear and melodic. My name is Lyra. I come from a world circling the star your people call Sirius. I have searched for you across 12 cycles of your sun. Megan swallowed hard, finding her voice at last. Why me? Lyra tilted her head, studying Megan with those deep black eyes. Your cellular pattern matches the prophecy of connection. You are what my people call a resonator, one whose energy aligns with ours. Of all the things Megan might have expected, this was not one of them. She shook her head. There must be some mistake. I'm just a botanist. Just Megan, you are more than you know. Lyra's mental voice was gentle but firm. My world faces extinction. Our sun grows unstable. Our scientists have searched for compatible worlds, but our biology prevents us from surviving on most planets, including yours. The alien woman moved closer, the patterns on her skin glowing brighter. But there is hope. The ancient texts speak of humans and Syrians working together, creating something new. Something that can save both our species. Megan felt dizzy with the implications. How could she possibly help? And Advanced alien civilization. What could one human woman do that their technology could not, as if reading her thoughts? Lyra extended her hand. Between her fingers, a small sphere of light formed, growing, until it hovered between them. Inside the sphere, Megan saw images of a world with twin moons and vast purple oceans. Crystal cities rose from islands scattered across the waters. The beauty took her breath away. "This is my home," Lyra explained. "It will be gone within one rotation of your planet around your sun unless we find a solution." The sphere changed, showing plants similar to Earth species but with subtle differences. Their cellular structure appeared on microscopic display. "Your work with plant adaptations holds the key. Megan Foster. Your research combined with our genetic technology could create hybrid species capable of stabilizing our atmosphere, absorbing the radiation from our dying." Star Megan stared at the sphere, watching as simulations played out, showing how Earth plant genetics, modified with alien science, could potentially save an entire world. "How did you know about my research?" Megan asked. Lyra smiled, a gesture that seemed practiced, as if learned specifically for human interaction. "We have observed your internet, your scientific publications. We have studied your languages and cultures for generations, waiting for the right resonance pattern to appear. You appeared in our scans 1 year ago." Before Megan could respond, the quiet night was shattered by the sound of approaching vehicles. Bright lights swept across the field as several black SUVs came bouncing across the uneven ground. Their headlights illuminated the alien and her vessel government. Lyra said the word in Megan's mind. "They have detected my arrival. They will take me, study me, dissect me. They fear what they do not understand." Panic rose in Megan's chest. She had read enough science fiction to know how this usually played out. The alien visitor captured and studied, the government denying everything. "What do we do?" Megan asked, surprised by the protective feeling that washed over her. Lyra looked toward her vessel, then back at Megan. "I must leave, but I cannot complete my mission without you. Without the resonance bond between us, my people are lost." The SUVs were getting closer. Doors began to open. Men in tactical gear emerged, weapons drawn. Megan's heart pounded in her chest. "Come with me." Lyra extended her hand. "The bond can only be formed with consent. I cannot force you, but I ask you to help save my world." Megan looked back at the approaching agents, then at her simple life in Pine Creek. Her research, her small apartment, her predictable days. What was waiting for her here, compared to what Lyra offered? The chance to save an entire civilization. The chance to see the stars she had always dreamed about. The agents were shouting now, ordering them both to freeze. Megan made her decision in an instant. She reached out and took Lyra's hand. The alien's skin was warm and smooth. The moment their hands connected, Megan felt energy flow between them like an electric current, but pleasant. A sense of rightness washed over her, as if two puzzle pieces had finally joined. Lyra smiled and turned, leading Megan quickly toward the vessel. The shouting behind them grew louder. A warning shot cracked through the air. The vessel opened seamlessly as they approached. Inside was a space that seemed larger than the exterior suggested. Surfaces glowed with soft light, and what appeared to be living controls pulsed along the walls as soon as they were inside the opening sealed behind them. Megan felt no fear, only wonder, as Lyra guided her to what appeared to be a central chamber. "We must complete the resonance bond before we leave your atmosphere," Lyra explained. "Otherwise the transition might harm you." Outside, the agents surrounded the vessel, some speaking urgently into radios, others aiming weapons at the smooth surface. "What do I need to do?" Megan asked. Lyra placed her hands on either side of Megan's face. "Rest your mind. Open your thoughts to mine. Let our energies align." Megan closed her eyes and tried to relax, to open herself to whatever this process required. She felt warmth spreading from Lyra's touch flowing through her body. Images flashed behind her eyelids, memories that were not her own. A world with purple oceans, a civilization of beings like Lyra. Their history, their knowledge, their hopes. In return, she felt Lyra experiencing her memories, her childhood in Colorado, her parents who had died in an accident when she was in college, her passion for plants and how they adapted to survive, the loneliness she had always felt as if something was missing. The vessel hummed around them as the resonance grew stronger, the connection deepening with each passing second. Outside, the government agents watched in shock as the alien craft began to glow brighter, its surface rippling like water. The light built until it was almost blinding. Inside, Megan gasped as the final connection snapped into place. She could feel Lyra in her mind as clearly as her own thoughts, their energies intertwined, creating something new. Something powerful. "We are bonded," Lyra said both aloud and in Megan's mind. "Now we can begin." The vessel lifted off smoothly, rapidly, accelerating beyond the reach of the humans below. In seconds, they had left the atmosphere. The blue curve of Earth, visible through the transparent section of the hull. Megan looked back at her home planet, growing smaller in the distance she felt, not fear but excitement. The stars she had always dreamed about spread out before her, and beside her stood an alien woman who needed her help to save a dying world. Their journey had only just begun. The preparation for return to Earth consumed the next 2 weeks. Megan worked tirelessly with the science team to develop stable versions of their hybrid plants. They created sealed containers that would protect the specimens during transit, ensuring Earth would not be exposed to any unknown biological elements. Meanwhile, the council selected a small delegation to accompany Megan back to her world, 5 Syrians, including Lyra and Elder Vela, who would serve as representatives of their people. They studied Earth customs, languages, and social structures, preparing themselves for the difficult task ahead. The night before their departure, Megan stood alone in the Botanical Preservation Dome, a vast crystal structure that housed thousands of plant species from across Vala. Many were now extinct in the wild, preserved only in this controlled environment. She walked among the alien flora, marveling at their beauty and strangeness. Spiral-shaped trees with luminescent bark, floating seed, pods that pulsed with inner light, flowering vines that seemed to sing in tones just beyond human hearing. Lyra found her there. The Syrian woman moved silently through the dome, her copper skin reflecting the soft bioluminescent light of the plants. "You seek solitude before our journey," Lyra observed through their mental bond. Megan smiled. She had grown accustomed to the intimate connection between their minds. It no longer felt strange to share thoughts and feelings so directly. "Just collecting memories," she answered, both spoken and mentally. "The beauty of your world, I want to remember everything." Lyra moved closer. "I sense your concern about our return to Earth." "It's not going to be simple," Megan admitted. "Earth governments, especially the United States, are suspicious of anything unknown, and I disappeared under unusual circumstances. They probably think I was abducted, which you were in a sense." Lyra noted with gentle humor. Megan laughed. The resonance between them had brought unexpected joy to her life. Despite the grave circumstances, they had found moments of connection that transcended their different biologies, their different worlds. "We will face whatever comes together," Lyra said, taking Megan's hand. "I have complete faith in you." The touch sent warmth through their bond. The connection between them had grown beyond anything the Syrian prophecies had predicted. What had begun as a scientific partnership had blossomed into something deeper, something neither had words for in their respective languages. The next morning, they boarded the vessel that would take them back to Earth. Along with the 6 passengers, they carried precious cargo samples of the hybrid plants, genetic material, and data crystals containing Syrian knowledge that might help Earth prepare for what was coming. The journey back seemed faster than the trip to Vala, or perhaps Megan had simply grown accustomed to space travel. Through the transparent hull, she watched stars streak by, thinking about what awaited them on Earth. Would anyone believe her? Would she be separated from Lyra and the others, interrogated as a traitor? Lyra sensed her spiraling thoughts and sat beside her. "Our scientists have been monitoring Earth communications. We have selected a location for our arrival that may offer the best chance of peaceful contact." Where Megan asked, "A research facility in New Mexico." Lyra explained. It is isolated enough to avoid immediate public panic, but connected enough to reach your scientific community quickly. The facility director is a woman named Olivia Martinez. She has published papers speculating about the possibility of benevolent contact with extraterrestrial life. Her mind appears open to possibilities. How do you know all this? Megan asked, surprised. We've been studying your world for generations, Elder Vela said, joining their conversation. We have observed your internet, your broadcasts. We understand the complexities and divisions of your society. We do not come unprepared. As they approached, Megan felt anxiety building in her chest. 3 months had passed since her departure. She had no idea what awaited her, what her status might be, whether she would be considered a victim or a collaborator. The vessel entered Earth's atmosphere, under cover of night, its cloaking technology hiding it from most detection systems. As they descended toward the New Mexico desert, Megan saw the research facility below, a cluster of white buildings surrounded by security fencing. In the pre-dawn, darkness, only a few lights burned. This is where Dr. Martinez conducts her research, Lyra explained. She should be present. Her team is small, only 5 humans currently on site. The vessel landed silently on an empty helipad, the engines powering down. With barely a whisper, Megan took a deep breath, trying to calm her racing heart. Air. You ready? Elder Vela asked. As ready as I can be. Megan replied. The delegation had agreed that Megan would exit first alone. She would make initial contact, explaining the situation before introducing the Syrians. This approach they hoped would reduce the shock and potential fear. Megan stepped out of the vessel onto the concrete helipad. The cool desert air filled her lungs. Earth, air home. Her eyes quickly adjusted to the darkness, spotting movement near one of the buildings. A small group of people had emerged, likely alerted by sensors. Despite the vessel's stealth technology, Megan walked forward slowly, hands raised to show she carried no weapons. A spotlight suddenly blazed, illuminating her. Stop where you are. A voice called out, Identify yourself. My name is Megan Foster. Megan called back. I need to speak with Dr. Olivia Martinez. It's urgent. The spotlight remained fixed on her, but she heard urgent whispers among the group. Finally, a woman stepped forward. Dr. Martinez. The woman said, her voice cautious but curious. Megan Foster. The botanist who disappeared 3 months ago. Yes. Megan confirmed. Dr. Martinez. I have returned with visitors. People who need our help and who can help us in return, Doctor. Martinez moved closer, studying Megan with scientific curiosity. Where have you been, another world? Megan said simply. I know how that sounds, but it's the truth, and I can prove it. She turned slightly and nodded toward the vessel. A signal to Lyra that it was time. The side of the ship became transparent, revealing Lyra standing just inside. The Syrian woman stepped forward into the spotlight. Her copper skin and black eyes, unmistakably alien. Gasps rose from the humans watching. Dr. Martinez froze, her eyes wide with shock and wonder. This is Lyra, Megan said. She comes from a world orbiting the star Sirius. Her people need our help. Their son is dying. For a long moment, no one spoke. The humans stared at Lyra, processing the reality of what stood before them. Then Dr. Martinez did something unexpected. She smiled. I've waited my entire career for this moment, she said, her voice filled with awe. Please tell me more. The next few hours passed in a blur of explanations and introductions. The Syrian delegation was brought into the research facility, while Dr. Martinez contacted trusted colleagues in the scientific community and eventually government officials. By dawn, a small team of scientists and military personnel had arrived, all sworn to secrecy until a formal announcement could be prepared. In a conference room designed for far more mundane meetings, Megan and Lyra presented their case. The dying Syrian son. The hybrid plants that might save Vala. The possibility of knowledge exchange that could benefit both worlds. I understand your caution, Dr. Martinez said after hearing them out. But consider what they're offering. Advanced clean energy technology. medical knowledge beyond our current understanding, space, travel. This could change everything for humanity. A military officer frowned. What guarantee do we have that their intentions are peaceful? They could be advanced scouts for an invasion. Lyra stood her tall form, commanding attention. We have had the capability to conquer your world for centuries if that had been our desire. We have observed your development, waiting for the right moment for peaceful contact. We come seeking cooperation, not conquest, to demonstrate their good faith. Lyra presented data crystals containing information on clean energy technology. Knowledge that could help Earth move beyond fossil fuels without requiring any materials or technology not already available. This is just the beginning, she explained. We offer knowledge in exchange for sanctuary. Should our world become uninhabitable, we ask only for a place to live in peace, a chance to contribute to your society. The discussions continued for days. As word spread, carefully controlled by government officials, more scientists and diplomats arrived from around the world. The United Nations formed a special committee to handle what they were calling first contact. Through it all, Megan and Lyra remained at the center of negotiations, their resonance bond allowing them to bridge the gap between two very different species. 2 weeks after their arrival, Megan stood beside Lyra in a secured United Nations chamber in New York. Before them sat representatives from every major nation on Earth. The room buzzed with nervous energy as they prepared for the historic announcement that would forever change humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. "Are you nervous?" Lyra asked, through their mental connection. Terrified, Megan admitted, but also hopeful. This could be the beginning of something amazing for both our worlds. Elder Vela joined them, her formal robes shimmering in the chamber's light. The United Nations Secretary General has agreed to our proposal. She informed them, your Earth will help us attempt to save Vala, and should that fail, they have granted us sanctuary, a place to rebuild. The sanctuary would be a remote island in the Pacific, large enough to support the Syrian population, but isolated enough to allow for gradual integration. The hybrid plant project would continue with international support. Teams of Earth scientists would travel to Vala to assist, while Syrian knowledge would be shared with humanity. The months following first contact transformed Earth in ways no one could have predicted. The initial shock gave way to fascination, as humans around the globe absorbed the reality that they shared the universe with another intelligent species. The Syrian delegation expanded as more of their people arrived to assist with scientific and cultural exchange. Megan found herself at the center of it all. Her unique position as the first human to visit Vala and her resonance bond with Lyra made her invaluable to both sides. She split her time between the new International Research Center established in New Mexico and diplomatic functions around the world. Today she stood in a vast greenhouse, specially constructed to house the hybrid plants. Seeds from the original specimens had been planted in carefully controlled environments. The early results were promising. The hybrids were thriving under conditions that simulated the radiation levels on Vala. Dr. Martinez joined her, examining the growth charts. These plants are exceeding all projections. The cellular regeneration rate is remarkable. I've never seen anything like it. Megan nodded, touching one of the purple-tinged leaves. The hybrid plants combined the best traits of Earth desert species with Valan flora. The result was something entirely new. Life engineered to survive in conditions that would kill either parent species. If the larger test plots on Vala show similar results, we might actually succeed, Megan said, hope coloring her voice. The atmospheric restoration could begin within months. Dr. Martinez smiled. The Syrian technology combined with your botanical expertise. This partnership could solve climate issues here on Earth as well. That was the unexpected benefit of the Alliance. Earth was gaining knowledge that might help address its own environmental challenges. The clean energy technology Lyra had shared was already being implemented in test sites around the world. Speaking of partnerships, Dr. Martinez gave Megan a knowing look. How's Lyra? Megan felt warmth rise in her cheeks. She and Lyra had become inseparable. Their resonance bond had deepened in ways neither had anticipated. What had begun as a scientific connection had evolved into something far more personal. She's currently meeting with the UN Committee on Cultural Exchange, Megan replied, avoiding the personal question. Dr. Martinez laughed lightly. Don't think I haven't noticed how you two are together. It's actually quite beautiful. The first human-Syrian pair. We should have expected it, I suppose. Before Megan could respond, her phone buzzed with a notification, the secure line used only for emergency communications. Her heart rate spiked as she checked the message. I need to go, she said. Abruptly, something happening at the diplomatic quarters. She rushed from the greenhouse to the waiting electric vehicle. Outside the facility, a helicopter stood ready, its rotors already spinning. Within minutes, she was airborne, flying toward the secured compound where the Syrian delegation was housed. Through their bond, she could feel Lyra's distress. Something had happened. Something serious. The connection between them vibrated with tension. The helicopter landed on the compound's roof pad. Security personnel rushed her inside down to the conference room where the Syrian delegation had gathered. Lyra met her at the door, her copper skin dulled with stress. Elder Vela has received troubling news. Inside the conference room, Elder Vela stood before a holographic display showing the Sirius star. Its blue-white light pulsed unnaturally. The Elder turned as Megan entered her face grave. The stellar degradation has accelerated beyond our models, she explained. Our scientists on Vala report massive radiation spikes. The protective shields around our cities are failing. Megan moved closer to the display. What about the hybrid plant program? Initial field tests were promising. But this latest surge, Elder Vela gestured to the display. The radiation levels are now beyond even what the hybrids were designed to withstand. How long? Megan asked the question. Heavy in the air. Elder. Vela met her eyes. 3 of your Earth months, at most. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The evacuation plan would need to be accelerated dramatically. Over 1 million Syrians would need transport to Earth much sooner than anyone had prepared for. We must inform your United Nations immediately. Elder Vela said, we have transport vessels sufficient for the evacuation, but we need prepared settlement areas. Megan nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. The Pacific Island Sanctuary was only partially developed. Housing for thousands, not millions. The infrastructure, the support systems. None of it was ready. This will cause panic, Lyra said privately through their bond. Some humans already fear us. This news could turn fear to hostility. Megan squeezed Lyra's hand, drawing strength from their connection. Well, face it together, she replied. The UN committee meets tomorrow. We can present the new data then. That night, Megan and Lyra sat together in their shared quarters. The window overlooked the New Mexico desert, its vast emptiness reflecting the space between stars. I can feel your worry, Lyra said softly. You fear how your people will respond. Megan sighed, leaning against Lyra's shoulder. Most humans have accepted your presence, but this is different. A full-scale migration of your entire species. It's going to frighten people. The resonance between them hummed with shared emotion, fear, hope, determination, love, all flowing back and forth across the bridge that connected their minds. We survived first contact, Lyra reminded her. We will survive this too. The UN emergency session the next day was tense. The holographic data from Vala played above the center of the chamber, showing the rapid deterioration of the Syrian sun. Representatives from nations around the world watched in silence as Elder Vela presented the stark reality. We come to you now, not just as allies, but as a people facing extinction, she said, her mental voice projected to all present through the translation technology. We ask for your compassion, your understanding. The evacuation must begin immediately. The Secretary General stood, his face solemn. We understand the gravity of the situation, Elder Vela. But you must understand ours as well. The sanctuary island can support perhaps 50,000 of your people. We have nowhere prepared for 1 million, murmurs spread through the chamber. Some voices concerned, others suspicious. How do we know this isn't a ploy? The Russian representative demanded. A way to accelerate your colonization of our world. Megan felt anger flash through her bond with Lyra. But the Syrian controlled. Her response, "We have shared all our data transparently," Lyra replied. "We invite your scientists to verify our findings. The situation is dire, but we come seeking cooperation, not conquest." The Chinese representative leaned forward. "What of the technology? You promised. Would it be possible to increase the capacity of your vessels to evacuate your people to multiple locations, perhaps?" Elder Vela nodded. "We have been developing such plans. We could establish smaller settlements across your world with your permission, of course." The debate continued for hours. Nations offered territory resources support. Others raised concerns about security, cultural integration, resource allocation. The complexity of absorbing an entire alien civilization became increasingly clear. Throughout the discussion, Megan and Lyra remained united, their resonance bond allowing them to coordinate responses, address concerns. Megan explained the human perspective while Lyra clarified Syrian intentions. Together, they formed a bridge between worlds. Finally, the Secretary General called for a vote. The result was narrowly in favor of acceleration. The evacuation would begin immediately. Settlement zones would be established on 6 continents. Each nation would accept a portion of the Syrian population. As the meeting adjourned, Megan felt both relief and apprehension. The real work was just beginning. The following weeks passed in a blur of activity. Syrian transport vessels began arriving in designated zones around the world, each carrying thousands of refugees from the dying world. The media covered the arrivals, broadcasting images of copper-skinned beings stepping onto Earth soil. Some humans protested, fearful of the changes these new arrivals would bring, but many more offered welcome, extending hands of friendship to their new neighbors. Megan worked alongside international teams coordinating the settlement efforts. The resonance bond she shared with Lyra became a model for human-Syrian cooperation. Other pairs began to form, humans and Syrians, who developed special connections not as deep as a true resonance bond, but meaningful. Nonetheless, one evening as they supervised the construction of a Syrian community in Arizona, Megan received an urgent call from Dr. Martinez. "The hybrid plants," she said, her voice excited. "We need you at the lab immediately." When Megan and Lyra arrived, they found Dr. Martinez standing before a display showing data from Vala. The latest readings from the test fields showed something unexpected. "Look at this." Dr. Martinez pointed to the screen. "The hybrids in the northern test zone. They aren't just surviving the increased radiation. They're thriving. Their growth rate has doubled." Megan studied the data, hardly daring to hope. "What are you saying?" him saying. Dr. Martinez turned to them, her eyes bright, "that these plants have adapted further than we anticipated. They appear to be developing increased resistance with each generation. The radiation is actually triggering evolutionary responses we've never seen before. Could they still save?" Vala Lyra asked the question, vibrating through her mental connection with Megan. "Not all of it," Dr. Martinez admitted, "but perhaps enough for a sanctuary. A place where some of your people could remain, some of your culture could be preserved." Hope flickered between Megan and Lyra. A small flame, but real.